In yesterday's video, we reviewed who actually knows that Jaime pushed Bran, and it's not many people. Jaime, Cersei, Brienne in the books. Theon was suggested this back in the day, but who knows if Theon even remembers it. Tyrion knows, but none of those people are likely to rat out Jaime. In the books, Bran knows, but it's almost like he's trying to repress it from his memory. But we saw Bran use visions in Season 7 to enact justice on Littlefinger, so it begs the question, will Bran do the same to Jaime? Will Bran forgive Jaime? Long story short, no, he won't. But not because Bran's bitter, and not because he thinks Jaime deserves to be punished. Bran's not going to forgive Jaime because there's nothing to forgive. Sounds crazy, right? For years, I've looked at the push as pure evil. Not Jaime as pure evil, but that single act, the push. It seems evil, especially from us sitting here in the real world in 2018. It's hard to see it as anything but wrong. I mean, he tried to end a young kid's life. That's wrong. But a friend painted the scenario in a different light last year. Jaime was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let Bran go and Bran lives, cool. But then his own life is at risk. More importantly, his lovers, Cersei's life, and their children's lives, they're all at risk. In the books, even Ned wonders what he would have done in that situation, having to choose between some child he did not know and someone he loves. Or even worse, Ned wonders what Catelyn would have done if it were between Jon's life and those of her own children. So George definitely wants us to think about this. Since even Ned is wondering what he would have done, it's worth taking a step back and not seeing it as so black and white. So first, let's look at the cost of not pushing Bran. No one in the entire story knows Robert as well as Ned does, and before telling Robert about the incest, Ned tells Cersei to get her children and flee, to go as far away as she can with as many men as she can.
Because wherever you go, Robert's wrath will follow you.
So the threat was real, and Jaime knew this. Let's go back to the push. When they first noticed Bran, he began to lose his grip, his fingers were slipping. He was nervous, he was about to fall. Thankfully, Jaime is driven by a desire to save people, not to kill people, to save people. He does it over and over, the people of King's Landing from Mad King Aerys, Brienne in the Bear Pit, and in this unfortunate situation, Cersei. He killed to save her. But his first instinct is to save people. He's a true knight. So his instinct kicked in and he grabbed Bran. As Bran started to slip, he reached down and said, "Take my hand before you fall." Then he pulled him back up. They left this out of the show and it's kind of a shame. After he pulls Bran up, Cersei says, "What are you doing?" And Jaime thought that she wanted him to push Bran, so he did. But notice the words that George uses. "The things I do for love," he said with loathing. So even at the moment that it happened, Jaime is already regretting it. Later in the story, Cersei chastises Jaime for the push. She says that Jaime never thinks, that he's stupid, that Bran was just a child and they could have frightened him into silence. But let's be real, in the books and the show alike, Cersei yelled out, "What are you doing?"
He saw us.
It's alright, it's alright, it's alright.
He saw us.
I heard you the first time.
When Jaime stopped Bran from falling on his own. So she can deny it in hindsight, that's easy, but to Jaime at the time, it seemed like Cersei wanted him to push Bran. And like we just said, even Ned assumed that once Robert found out, he'd kill the people. Jaime, Cersei, maybe even the kids. Now, did Jaime do it for himself or the kids? No. Jaime's not afraid of death. We made an entire video on this. And Jaime did not have a relationship with his kids. He pushed Bran for Cersei. On a subconscious level, sure. Cersei cared about her kids, so protecting them protects her in a more abstract way. But the real reason Jaime pushed Bran was for one thing, Cersei. Because of this, people think he was wrong, as if Bran's life is more important than Cersei's. A life is a life though. Sure, Bran's an innocent kid, and Cersei's a despicable woman, so as you learn more and more about her, it becomes easier and easier to say that Bran's life was more important than hers. But let's swap characters. Let's pretend Missandei was forced to marry King Robert, and then some northern boy catches Missandei and Grey Worm doing it. Grey Worm isn't the type of dude to push a kid. He'd probably hesitate. But would he regret it the next day, when Robert killed Missandei? So let's pretend Grey Worm killed the kid. Was it wrong? No, just sad. He was put between a rock and a hard place. He had to kill a kid to save Missandei. So that's why it gets complicated. People don't like Cersei, so they think, hey, incest twins, you got yourself into the situation, you two should have faced the music. On a human level, it makes sense. It would have been more admirable if they faced the music, they were adults. But in terms of judgment, it's all irrelevant. It's irrelevant if Jaime is arrogant. It's irrelevant if Cersei is half evil. It's irrelevant if they were committing adultery or incest. The fact is, they got caught. Freeze time. Jaime intentionally pushed a kid off a tower, so was he wrong? No. The flaw is in the judicial process. They live in a monarchy where the king lives above the law. He has the final say, and he would have sentenced Cersei to die. For adultery. That's not right. In a better world, Robert divorces her or annuls their marriage, Cersei and Jaime are stripped of their titles and maybe even some possessions, and they'd face public scorn, but that's it. Adultery should not result in capital punishment. That's insane. Let's go back to Ned. Check this out.
What is the meaning of this?
Ned had to make a similar choice on the way down to King's Landing.
The wolf is of the north. She deserves better than a butcher.
He was forced to kill an innocent wolf, and I get it. A human's life is more important than a wolf's. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that, but if you think that way, I hear you. I'm just a little nuts. But it's a loose parallel. The true criminal was not Jaime up in Winterfell or Ned at the Crossroads Inn. The criminal in both examples was the judicial system as a whole. With all that said, it is hard to justify the attempt to kill a kid for any reason. I totally hear you if you're thinking that way. And if I was Bran's sibling, father, friend, bannerman, or even a stranger, I doubt I'd share the opinion that I'm sharing with you now. I'd probably have said Jaime should have manned up and faced the music. He knew what he was risking in the first place. But Bran is the three-eyed raven. So Bran's detached in a sense, not just from his own history, but detached from humanity. He now sees that event through his own eyes and Jaime's eyes. So we should not expect Bran to hold it against Jaime. I'm actually hoping that it never comes to light, except maybe in a one-on-one between him and Jaime. In the books, Jaime regrets the push. He says to Cersei, quote, "I'm not ashamed of loving you, only the things I've done to hide it. That boy at Winterfell." So I want to see Bran and Jaime have a one-on-one, just them two, where Jaime apologizes and Bran says something incredibly powerful like, "You've got nothing to apologize for. Just help me build a world where someone in your situation won't have to choose between one life or another. Let's build a better world for the children of tomorrow."
Direwolf's no pet. Get her a dog, she'll be happier for it.